Welcome to Peter's Marine Service. My name is Ted, and today I'd like to talk to you about safety equipment. Safety equipment is a very important asset to have on board your boat. Could mean the difference between a good day and a not so good day out on the water. The things I'm going to go over with you today are things that are required in the state of Pennsylvania. It might be different in the areas where you go boating, so I recommend that you check with your local areas before you venture out. A lot of the things that we have here are Coast Guard approved and general safety gear. So many of these things will apply to a lot of the places where you go. I'm going to cover three things here today. I'm going to cover signaling devices, I'm going to cover fire extinguishing devices, and I'm going to cover personal flotation devices. In the signaling devices, there's a couple of things. You have visual and you have audible. In the visual signaling devices, they are either daytime or nighttime use or dual purpose. A great example of a daytime signaling device could be something like this. This is a distress flag. You can see it stows very nice and easy. It's very compact. But if you have an emergency and are within sight line of somebody, you can easily unfurl it to get somebody's attention. It even has a distress symbol right on the flag here. That's a nice thing to keep on board the boat. Another type of visual distress signal, visual signaling device, could be something you already have on board your boat, like a paddle, preferably it's orange. But the idea here is that if you're in sight line with somebody frantically waving this is sure to get someone's attention that you need help. A good idea to keep one of these on board the boat, especially on a smaller boat. These are great when you're in sight line with somebody. But what if you're not? It's daytime and you need to get somebody's attention. You could also use a smoke flare. I don't have an example here to show you today, but suffice it to say it's a small canister, resembles a hand flare, which I'll show soon. But you pop the cap, you strike it, and it produces a large amount of orange smoke, sure to get someone's attention from a greater distance away. Other types of signaling devices could be for day or night. Something like this, handheld flares. A handheld flare is very easily stowed on the boat. You keep them in a small compartment, if you will, but something that you can pop the cap, strike it, hold it in your hand, and it's a very bright light that'll get somebody's attention that you need some help. But what if they're, again, not within sight line, and you need to get their attention from a large distance, say beyond the horizon? Then you have aerial flares. Aerial flares are designed to shoot up way up high in the sky to get somebody's attention from a greater distance. This is an example of that. It's a pistol. Flares go inside the barrel of the gun, hold it up, pull the trigger. This goes very high up in the sky, gets somebody's attention from a greater distance. Especially at night, the idea is to get somebody to your general location and then the handheld flare to get them in closer. This might be a little bit ominous to keep on board the boat, something a little less of a cumbersome piece to keep on board could be something like this, the sky blazer flares. These are nice and compact. They keep inside their own bag. What's nice about this is they're smaller. They don't have quite the height that the pistol has or the range, but what's nice about it is they're small. Pop the cap, strike the bottom, shoots the flare up into the sky. Again, designed to get somebody's attention from a larger distance away. They also come in packaging that allows them to be stowed neatly on board. Notice that they're in orange containers. That's so you can easily see them if the need arises. This is a nice package here where it keeps your handheld flares, your distress flag, and a whistle all inside a sealed compartment. This canister will float. So it's something that's very nice to keep on board the boat. Flares do have an expiration date, so make sure that you look at them. Typically it's a 3-year range on the flare, but make sure that you keep a look at them so you know you have valid flares when you're on board your boat. Those that have expired do need to be replaced so that you're within the legal requirement. Other types of signaling devices, I showed you visual. There's also audible. Audible can be something that you hold in your hand, something that you do by mouth, or something that you have mechanical, powered, like a horn that's already on your boat. That's something that is a legal audible signaling device, even though it's battery powered. A hand type of signaling device could be something like a bell that you ring. That's an audible signaling device that meets the requirement on board the boat. Also, very simply, a whistle. A whistle is something that you can keep on board your boat or keep with you when you're in a canoe or kayak, or attach it to your vest so you always have it there handy. But that's an audible signaling device that does meet the requirement. Other types of things that people like to keep on board, Air horn. This produces a very loud sound. It is smaller, can keep it on board, produces a great sound for getting somebody's attention from a distance. There are smaller ones that stow even easier inside the boat. Those I have right here, you can see. Those are your signaling devices. Other types of things you need to keep on board would be fire extinguishing devices. Any boat that has a gas-powered engine with closed compartments in the state of Pennsylvania needs to have a fire extinguisher on board. Even if it's a small boat, outboard with a closed compartment needs to have a fire extinguisher on board. Boats under 26 feet in length in Pennsylvania are required to have at least one B1 type fire extinguisher. This particular one has a gauge where you can easily see that it is charged. Keep an eye on them as well. Should the charge go low, it's time to replace that. Boats over 26 feet in length in Pennsylvania would require one B2 size canister for fire extinguishing, or you can get away with two B1s. So boats over 26 feet, two B1s, or one B2. Under 26 feet, you can get away with one of these. Although the exception would be if you have a cabin boat, cuddy cabin, cruiser, probably a good idea is to have two on board, one in the cabin and one in the cockpit, just for added safety. Even personal watercraft, PWCs, jet skis, they need to have fire extinguishers also. They are a boat, and they need to have the fire extinguisher on there. They make fire extinguishers for them. They're sleek in design and can easily fit inside a lot of the containers inside a personal watercraft. So make sure you have one on your boat. Other safety gear, the third one, personal flotation devices, PFDs, life jackets, life vests. It's all the same thing. Basically, it's a device that helps keep you above water should you be in the water in an emergency situation. They do come in various types also. The first one, a Type 1. This large, cumbersome thing looks very commercial in its look, but this does have a purpose. If you're boating offshore, this vest here is designed to keep your head above water in rough water. Plus, if you are unconscious, this type of vest, the Type 1, is designed to keep your head above water, face up when you're unconscious. That's what's nice about this vest. Notice that this vest produces 20 pounds of buoyancy, so in rough water it'll keep your head above water better than some of the others, which I'll mention. Obviously it needs to be connected to be effective. Most of us aren't going offshore though, and for inland or near shore type of boating, there is the Type 2 personal flotation device. Looks a lot like the other one. In fact, it probably looks like something you've seen a lot of already. These are smaller. They stow nicely inside smaller boats. This simply goes over your head, strap goes around to secure it. This will keep your head face up if you are unconscious as well. But notice this only is smaller, only produces 15.5 pounds of flotation. So this is better for near shore or inland type of situations. It is important to have one life vest for every person on board the boat. One Coast Guard approved life vest for every person on board. That is required. Those vests are great for safety, for keeping your head above water. But many of us aren't using them around our boat on a daily basis. So say we're going swimming or we're going skiing. You would want something a little more comfortable, like this, ski vest. Ski vests are great for, well, whether you're just floating around in the water enjoying yourself, or if you're being towed on a tube, or if you're being towed on skis. This is something that you would wear. Some of them have a zipper. This one happens to have buckles. This is designed to handle the higher impact should you fall doing that type of activity. They are very comfortable to wear. Unfortunately, they do not keep your head face up if you are unconscious. That would require some energy on your part to do that. This will keep you at the top of the water, but not necessarily face up. So that's the difference here between the Type 3 and the previous two types, 1 and 2.